Hi, it's Hans at ahappierman.com. Today's topic is how to start over. Well, I kind of know quite a bit about this, and I really don't want to, but I just by default I know a lot about starting over. I started over many times, and let's say the first thing about starting over, it's like similar. As an adult, it's similar to the process of your childhood, where let's say you start in first grade and you work up to your way to fifth grade, which is the end of your elementary school. Then you go to sixth grade, middle school, and high school, and beyond. So you're at the when you finally get through fifth grade, well, now you're at the top of the elementary school, but now you got to start over at sixth grade, right in the bottom of the middle school. You're starting over. You went from the top, now you're at the bottom, right? Same from middle school. You finally get eighth grade, you're at the top of that system, and now you got to start over at the bottom of the high school. And then, of course, the same thing with the high school, right? As a senior, you're at the top, and now you got to start over at something else. Well, that same concept works out in life, just sometimes more dramatically. And that's part of the reason I think people like to get into a job and then just stay there forever, because they don't want to go through this starting over process, because in school that starting over process can be quite painful. It can be. You go from being the big kid in eighth grade to being the runt in high school, right? You were the top eighth grader, and now you go to high school and there's sophomores, juniors, and seniors there, and they're all bigger, stronger, faster, better looking. They all seem to know what they're doing. They're smarter. They're confident and sure of themselves, and you are not any of those things in comparison to them. And then it takes you a few years to get back to that level, and many times you don't totally get back to that level, right? And that's part of the problem with this idea of always starting over in school is people get winnowed. There's a winnowing. There's some people just they don't mature enough. Things just don't go well. There's bullying. There's problems. There's issues. There's who knows? There's a myriad of things that can go wrong in this process of starting over, and it might not even. A lot of that has nothing to do with you. Those are things outside of your control. So that when you grow up and you get into some job eventually, you might not want to quit that job because you don't want to start over, right? You want to just do it and just keep doing it, even if it isn't right for you, because you don't want to go through that pain of starting over. And it can be quite painful. So yeah, that's basically how the starting over goes. But with me, it was, well, I did all that with the schooling, and then college and graduate school, and then all kinds of different jobs, and I some people are, you're trying to get ahead, and you don't mind that starting over in your quest to get ahead. So I fell into that camp, always trying to get ahead, and in some ways I got ahead, in some ways I got behind. But anyway, it really wasn't that. I don't mind the starting over. I guess I learned that that's just part of life, that you got to be able to be embarrassed, start at the bottom, and work your way up again. And find out, well, maybe you start over at something and you're hoping that it works out, but it doesn't, and now you got to start over at something else. That isn't good, right? I had that. I started over at a job. I didn't even last a year at a job. I've had a couple of jobs like that where I didn't even last. One job I lasted 4 months, another one I lasted 9 months. And the one I was in 9 months, that was quite a few months too long for my taste. I wanted to start over again. But let's just go past the schooling and the jobs into a life, like a marriage. Well, if something is really, really wrong in your life and you need to start over, what you have to realize about the starting over is you're probably, all kinds of construction out here, you're probably, which is a good sign, actually, very good sign where I'm at, you're probably going to have to go from high on the ladder to low on the ladder. You're going to have to start over at a very low point. And that can be very hard on your ego. That can be very hard on your psyche, because you were up here and now you're way low. For example, when I left my wife in 2007, we were living in a beautiful home in a beautiful subdivision. 2 beautiful children. Children were doing good in school. The school was one of the top 10 school systems in the state that I'm in. And of course, I had deliberately chosen this location because of the schools, right? And I put everything I had money-wise into this house. It is a big, beautiful house, 2,400 square foot ranch. It was my dream house. It was her dream house. It was what I wanted for her. It was what I wanted for myself and my children. Everything about it was what I wanted. It was too much for me financially, but that's a different story. So anyway, we're in the big house. I'm making, for a while, I was making good money at the engineering job I had. Then the economy hit and torched what I did for a living. And I was still working, but I wasn't making nearly as much with the overtime and the bonuses and all of that stuff. But the real point of this is, on Friday, I was sleeping in a queen-size bed in a 2,400 square home with a master bedroom and a master bedroom closet and a master bedroom bathroom with the whirlpool tub and the big shower and double sinks and beautiful bathroom for the kids, and a half acre in a beautiful subdivision. And on Saturday, the next day, I left my wife, and and that was it, right? That home was not my home anymore. I've slept on friends' couches. I slept on my parents' couch, my sister's spare bedroom. I got by for months, not having any place, right? I was just kind of no place, right? Whoever would have me. Later on that year, my parents got me helped me rent a kind of a dumpy 2-bedroom apartment in that same town, so I could be close to the kids. And I stayed in that place for many, many, many years. And but let's say that place compared to the home I was in was just like night and day, right? And here I am, I'm this professional engineer, had a big high quality career and living in a very low manner. And my ex-wife, she was in the house, but I got knocked down multiple pegs, right? Multiple pegs. And that's what you have to do in order to make in order to start over. You've got to be willing to swallow your pride and swallow your ego. You have to be willing to do that. And I knew going into leaving her, I knew this financially, this would be devastating, and it was devastating. And I'm not really recovered, and it's been 13 years. Right? I knew it would be devastating. I didn't realize how devastating, but it was devastating. But I'm alive. I'm happy. I'm doing very well. My children are doing fantastically well. They wouldn't have been able to have a good life if they had stayed with their mother. It's just impossible. But what I'm saying about the starting over is you can't expect to be up here on the ladder and then just start over by stepping over to a different ladder just at that same level. You're going to go down, and you may have to go all the way down. And that's what I did. I went all the way to the bottom of the ladder, and I stayed at the bottom of the ladder for many, many, many years. And now, I'm finally just starting to climb up that ladder, just little by little. And this hurts my ego. It hurts my pride. Other guys I know my age who didn't go through this kind of thing that I went through with are and have similar careers and similar mindset, and so I would have expected to be doing better financially if I didn't have the divorce, right? But you got to expect that if you start over, you're gonna be behind where you would be if you didn't start over, right? You're at the bottom of the ladder and you start to climb up it, and you may find out, well, I started climbing up that ladder, well, that's even the wrong ladder, now I got to try it again, right? When you start over, that means start over. It doesn't mean start where you're at. It means start over at the bottom. Maybe that's the simplest way I can put it. You got to be willing to start over at the bottom. If you're learning anything new, you don't start at the top, you start at the bottom, right? But if what you're trying to learn is something you want to do, you won't mind starting at the bottom. If what you're doing isn't good for you, like being married to my wife, living with her, hearing her constantly verbally abuse me, that wasn't good for me. So I had to start over. So anyway, give that idea some thought. I have a lot of articles on the website at happierman.com about various ways of how I look at life. I think you'll get quite a bit out of that if you check into it. If you have a bad wife, certainly bad marriage, certainly get that book, A Happier Man. Leave Your Wife, Become a Happier Man, the 3-step system. It's kind of plastered all over my website because I want you to have just as good a life as mine, if not better. All for now.